to a brand new edition of Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. Also, Patreon.com/BigVMafia. I am Virtue, being joined, of course, by Big Vito Lagrasso. What's up?
How is everybody doing out there? Happy Halloween. I hope everybody is doing great. I just want to start off the show by saying thank you to everybody who's been reaching out to me, because everybody knows a friend of mine passed away. I've been very good friends with him, and it's been upsetting to me. You say my gym workouts have been excellent. My best friend in the whole world before anybody came around in my life was Jim, Gym. I did another 22 miles today in an hour. I had a repetitious workout. I'm dealing with things. I'm still dealing with things. I just spoke to his mother today, and I'm just trying to get through things. But thank you to all the people who reached out and asked me how I'm doing. You know, we're doing okay. So, Virtue, let's start the show. Let's get it going.
Wow, go ahead. We'll talk about wrestling. This will be our escape for about 30 minutes or so. And let's start off with this. So you know that NXT is it's 2.0, right? The reboot. They're trying
You are trembling for some reason. Trembling.
Trembling?
Yes, when you're coming through speaking.
Oh.
Yes.
Let's see. Don't know.
Hey, you guys, we're having a little technical difficulty, so just bear with us for a second. Get them back in. Virtue, are you with us?
How do I sound?
Now you sound better. You sound normal.
Gotcha, man. I don't know what's going on with my nice little microphone camera setup here. So anyway,
Virtue, just so you know, right?
Yeah.
You know, ever since you became pimp and you gangster and you swinging women and you got a relationship, washer dryer, a pet dog, a little leaf that you're so proud of from your girlfriend. I gotta say, I am in shock at what's happening. And for Aaron Riff, wife, to be letting him post on Sunday, that's emotional.
Dude, did you see their Halloween costumes?
Yes, I saw that. I said your in-laws are looking beautiful.
So anyway, we're back from that technical difficulty, that glitch that can happen from time to time on the internet. Yes. But the first topic I want to talk about, Vito, is so with NXT being rebooted with 2.0,
yes,
and we know that supposedly Vince McMahon has his fingerprints on this product a little bit more. Shawn Michaels has kind of been running the ship with Triple H gone on the medical leave with that heart issue he has.
Okay.
What do you think's going to happen when Triple H returns? Now, we don't know exactly what medical condition he had, but he did have something done with his heart. So he could be out for a while. He could come back in a few months. But where is, in the landscape of NXT, which was his baby, what do you think is going to happen with his role now coming back once he's back?
I think the fact that NXT is doing better without him, he will be shipped to SmackDown or Raw.
So what do you think his role is going to be then? Is he going to be an on-screen authority figure, or is he going to still have some clout backstage?
You know,
with talent?
He's already in the family, guys, and he's already there. So whatever role he has, he's going to keep his position. It's not like they're going to kick him out of the family. It's just like when you're written off TV, he's been written off NXT. So when he's able physically to come back, I think he'll be fine.
So a lot of people think that during his run, you know, he was signing a lot of the indie guys to NXT. And during that whole time, I mean, you had a couple that made some, you know, headway on the main roster, especially when they first came up. Kevin Owens, you know, is one of them. To a point, I mean, you know, Sami Zayn never got out of the mid card. Finn Balor touched that Universal title, got hurt, never got back there.
Nope.
Do you think so? With that vision that he had, he wasn't producing any WrestleMania main eventers. I mean, let's be honest. And now the females, right? Of course, the whole females that came up through NXT they end up pushing the females, right? The females got their own pay-per-view, headlined WrestleMania finally.
Right. I get
That
it.
might have happened anyway. So is Triple H in this role that he did? Is he a failure?
No. You have to build something. And when you build something, you could always build it better. But there had to be a base and a ground piece for them to change things. Disco El Suaze, hello. Um, but guys, you can't blame Triple H for something. He did, fill out the Barclays Center with NXT. He did fill out arenas with the NXT. He's not a complete failure. So if the product was selling out things during WrestleMania, 15,000 people to go watch NXT, it was pretty good. So you can't knock him. My thing.
So can we? I guess because before Triple H, right, had his fingerprints on NXT, it was still Florida Championship Wrestling, and that's kind of like where Roman Reigns came from, and like the Shield guys before it really converted over to NXT. I mean, it might have been NXT with some of those guys for a minute, but they were already getting ready to be called up. So let's face it. I mean, everybody knocks on Vince McMahon's vision, right, of what
Right.
he looks for in terms of to produce a wrestling product larger than life stars. But did he not buy his dad's company and turn it in to over time, $1 billion worldwide wrestling conglomerate with his vision? I mean,
Yes.
for everybody that knocks Vince, did he not do that?
He
Why would,
did.
okay.
He did. You can't knock anything that they're doing. Like I said, um, does wrestling become stagnant? Yes. Do you try to make it better? Yes. Do you try different things? Yes. Okay. NXT was in a lull. Vince went down there, put his fingerprints on it, dedicated himself. It's a little bit better. Okay, maybe Triple H is not, key. I think Triple H's best aspect is to go work with the main eventers in SmackDown and Raw
Mhm.
and help with those matches and finishes and produce those things because he has the most experience out of anybody in being on those big time matches.
That's a good point. That's a great point. And maybe that's what will end up happening. Like you said, he is in the family, so he's going to be involved in one way or another, regardless. And granted, we're not saying come back and work anytime soon. Get the health right first, right? Whatever
Yes.
issues he had. So,
Hmm.
all right. Now, here is an interesting one. We're going to divert a little bit from WWE for this topic. So,
Okay.
AEW was born a couple of years ago. Okay. Before that, you had WWE, number one wrestling program show in the world. Then
Right.
you did have that group of diehard wrestling fans that loved New Japan, and it carried over to Ring of Honor / New Japan over here.
Okay.
Impact was already shrunk to a shell of what it used to be. AEW comes along, and more or
Right.
less, Tony Khan is a billionaire and funded it and got a TV deal with TNT. Well, Ring of Honor just announced it released all of its wrestlers that it had on contract. They're free
Right.
to go do whatever they want. And they're the first quarter of next year of 2022, they're going to reevaluate what type of company they're going to become after that. Is this because AEW more or less is what they never became, and that fan base said, well, Ring of Honor, AEW's we got all the Ring of Honor guys over here now.
Right.
So is this is AEW? Everybody says let's get an alternate wrestling promotion to challenge Vince, and here we have potentially the demise. And granted, we're going to see what happens. They might come back, but the demise of another promotion, or at the very least, it'll be like an Impact, just a shell of what it used to be. Is this AEW's? I'm not going to say fault, but is it because of that?
No, I never thought Ring of Honor was a good product. I never thought
Okay.
it was worth anything. It was an indie fed with guys who were maybe you got back in the day. You had ECW, WCW, the WWE. You had the Impact Zone. You had XWF. You had now you have AEW. In that realm, Ring of Honor It's not even on the planet. It's not even on the stratosphere. That is like and then you have, if you have to go from the bottom up, it was NWA, uh, Ring of Honor, Impact.
Now, the WrestleMania that was in New York a couple of years ago,
Right.
Ring of Honor was in Madison Square Garden.
Yes, everybody's allowed to go to Madison Square Garden, but how many times did they do it?
It was
One
just
time.
the once, yeah.
Okay, so one time it was in Madison Square Garden. They never went again. Thrill of a lifetime. Oh my God. And now what? They're closed.
And the rumor is they're offering their library to the highest bidder. And here's what I'm thinking, Vito. It's going to become a bidding war between Tony Khan and Vince McMahon. I don't think Vince wants it, right? Because, I mean, granted, it's more content on the WWE Network with the wrestlers they have that used to wrestle there.
Right.
But they don't really need that to sell their network. But could Vince McMahon or Nick Khan get in a bidding war, because he knows that if Tony Khan does want to buy this wrestling library because of all the wrestlers he has that have footage from that, could they possibly drive the price up so Tony Khan overspends?
You want me to say it?
Or what do you think happens to the library? Nobody buys it, maybe.
This
right?
will be storage wars where they try to fuck each other and
someone gets stuck
and somebody gets stuck. What value does the Ring of Honor product have to other networks when you look at it?
Well, to WWE,
it
to
has
a degree,
value.
It's more content that they don't have that they could boast about, right, because Peacock's so cheap. But again, they're not going to overpay for anything like that. Vince bought WCW for pennies, right, on the dollar.
Right.
But I can see Tony Khan thinking, "Oh, we got to get it, Dad. His shot, Dad. We got to buy this thing. We need it."
Them buying it and them trying to establish themselves, I don't think so. Now, if NWA said, "All right, now you're talking," I know there's thousands of different NWAs, but if they were to consolidate their library, is that worth anything?
Now, are you talking to NWA?
Yeah.
There's a lot of history there, so
but is it worth anything?
With streaming content today, and if one person has it for their streaming services and another doesn't, yes, it could be. It could be. Outside of that realm, which is still a question mark, I think zero. It's not worth anything.
Okay.
But you know how streaming content, I mean, look what Peacock paid, NBC Universal paid for the WWE Network. Just because now nobody else has it, right? In the States, if you want to watch WWE, you have to buy Peacock, right? So Peacock, their app, has something that Hulu doesn't, that Netflix doesn't, that Paramount doesn't, and so forth. That's what I think the game is today. I wouldn't be surprised if these TV deals start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and these cable deals and all these wrestling things go to apps and streaming down the road.
Down the road. All right. So
anything. Okay. So normally you'll text me if you have anything, and if you don't, that's okay because we got other topics. Anything on Big Vito's mind this week? Anything I missed, or anything you just want to talk about in general that might intertwine with the wrestling business? Or what was I going to say? Hacksaw. Well, Hacksaw obviously he needs some surgery for prostate cancer. Is WWE helping him out?
I don't know.
Yeah. And it just goes to show you, if not, they should be, right?
You would hope that they would lend a hand, but at a hindsight for all the former WWE wrestlers who went that route and had cancer problems.
Yeah.
When I'll give an example, when Kamala James Harris needed an electric wheelchair, which maybe cost a couple of $1,000s, WWE did not assist him. Who bought it? Coco Beware.
Wow. They pick and choose, Vito. Now, you were just saying something about, was it Paul Heyman?
Paul Heyman. I saw a clip of Paul Heyman at a recent house show where he ran down the aisle and then he tagged in.
That wasn't a house show. This was Friday Night SmackDown.
Okay.
Now, remember, they were on FS1 again.
Okay.
They actually kept Roman Reigns and the whole bloodline and Paul off the show. So for the house, when SmackDown went off the air, they did this spot.
Okay. So what was it? Tell the people what it was for people who did not
He
see.
did this before too. There was like, I want to say there was it was the bloodline was in the ring, and then I want to say the other guys were who's the Solo Cup guys? You know who I'm talking about. That tag team. Anyway, the baby faces were in there, and they were provoking the bloodline, and Paul Heyman was out in his suit outside of the ring. And what did he do? He took the jacket off and waved it down and jumped up on the apron like he was going to tag in, right, to pop the crowd. That's more. He did this once before a while back. I didn't
Right.
see what ended up happening from that. But I mean, come on, we know they didn't get in there and do anything.
Tripped through the rope. They beat the hell out of him. He went outside having a heart attack. It was funny. It was good. Paul, I give you. But talking about Paul Heyman,
Okay.
if you ever noticed a character swing where a guy has so much bravado, ECW, extreme, swag, this is the best promotion. My guys can kick your ass. I can kick Vince McMahon's ass, everything. And then the flip side of it, he's a sniveling, jock sniffing ass kisser who is sucking the ass of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
Yep. It's
You
true.
sit there and you look at yourself and say, all right, I know you got to keep a job, but I mean, come on. And he is one of the best promo guys in the business, without a doubt. But to go from Mr. Extreme to extremely nonviolent is just, that's a change.
Like he's just like that sniveling manager that just hides behind the big dudes and is, which is a classic trope in classic wrestling, which they don't have anymore.
It is.
So at least they don't have that much anymore in the mainstream. So at least he's one of those guys keeping that nostalgia alive. But that's,
it is what I figured I'd mention that. I seen a clip of it. I like, all right, that was good. You don't see that anymore. And that's something we need to see some more of.
Some people think too he's losing a little bit of weight, which he obviously needs to. So maybe he's starting to take his health more seriously too.
Maybe. Hey, listen, you don't want to see, guys, we talk a lot of subjects, right? And we don't want to see anybody unhealthy. Like Triple H got bad heart.
Yep.
Hey, get well soon. Take a break. Paul Heyman is a little bit overweight. Hey, drop a couple pounds, you know what I mean, and feel better. You look at different people, they go through different things, and you say, hey, if you could do things, okay, I'll give you my best scenario. When I'm depressed, I go to the gym. Solely concentrated on I'm locked in the gym. Now, when you talk about biking or on the bike, I put it on 60 minutes. Let me see how many miles I can get. I think 20.
When you said you went, okay, so I was saying earlier, when you said you went 22 miles, it was on the bike?
On the bike.
Okay.
So 22 miles on a bike. That's a lot of miles. And I did 22 yesterday. That's a lot of miles. But you're doing it in an hour, right? So you say, okay, my cardio is up to par. An hour of cardio is an hour of cardio. And then my repetitious, maniac workout that I do where I'm crunching, it's like a circuit train. But I wish everybody would have the same concept on how to handle your problems. Pick something that you do and invigorate yourself, whether it's the gym, cooking, cleaning, laundry, ironing. Pick something. The gym has been my best friend my whole life. I've been a gym rat. I've been accused of being this workout freak, cardio guy. Just I spent a good part of my life in the gym, and my gym helps me. I wish it could be the solution for everybody who has demons. That would be something.
Oh, that's a great escape, man. I got to get to the gym some more. I stay pretty active though for my job, even though it's a lot of office work. But I get to move around a lot. So
yeah, but with you, Virtue, okay, everybody doesn't know everybody's private life, but when you had a hustle between mom and dad, and you're running here,
and I still am for dad, yeah.
And then what people don't realize is, where do you lose weight? from your nerves. And you
Ah,
could
that's true.
feel your nerves grinding inside your guts. And
Yes.
people say,
True.
how, hey, you're losing weight. Yeah. You going to the gym? No, my nerves.
Yeah,
When
that's
my
true.
nerves are tight and when I'm upset, my nerves grind. And then, like, I just, doesn't matter what I'm eating. The fact that I'm working out like a nut, and they say, "Why you really lean, Vito?" Yeah, it's part of my nerves and trying to get through what I'm getting through. It's an upsetting thing, but I wish people would take the initiative.
Nope,
Nobody
that's
knows.
a good
Look
point.
at some people who have heart problems who might not be able to work out at a rapid pace, but they're glad to be alive and enjoy life, right? Some people who need livers, some people who need transplants. Maybe those people can or cannot go to the gym, but they have to pick something else out to occupy their time. It's the same thing. Same thing.
Now we're going to move over to the main event topic,
All
and
right.
it's about Wyndham Rotunda, formerly known as Bray
Right.
Wyatt. So there's a couple things that have come out in the last few days. So now we know his non-compete should be over by now. I think it was the
Right.
29th. As of right now, he's not signed with any other wrestling promotion. Rumors have said that someone or two within WWE said he deserved to be released based on some tweets from Wyndham back on
Right.
social media. He basically more or less called out Johnny Ace and Bruce Pritchard. What the fuck, dude? So before I comment on what he might be doing, what's your comment on that whole scenario that just took place the last 48 hours?
What happens backstage is the people like John Laurinaitis, Bruce Pritchard, Mark Carano, um, people in the office, they put out things about why you were released. But if you really knew the behind the scenes of what the hell went on, yeah, I might have been difficult and I might have been this and I might have been that. But what did you do to provoke me to be a miserable fuck?
Exactly. And I mean, and Bray had a pretty good run there. I mean, he had some big matches at WrestleMania, some big programs against
Yeah.
The Shield, John Cena, and The Fiend seemed early on like people were loving it. And we know how it got booked. I can't blame the guy if he did start like pushing back creatively, if that was one of the things. I can't blame him for that because it looked like he was a company player for as long as he could have been. And then he was like, dude, your stuff sucks and it's hurting my character and my money. If that did happen, I don't blame him. Do you ever think, I hear a lot that he was always out of shape? Dude, the guy was coming up through NXT as Husky Harris. Okay. I know he had some injuries and he missed time,
Right.
but I know he did have some very good matches when he was working. They weren't all stellar, especially as the Fiend. They weren't all stellar, but
Right.
when he was Bray, he had really good matches. Daniel Bryan, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, John Cena. So, like, I don't understand why I hear this thing. Like, I think he's a stand-up guy, and I hope he finds work. Any thoughts on that before we go into where he might be finding work here?
Okay. You have Jake Hudson. Cheers, 25. Peace, my
We're
brother.
talking Bray, the future of a Bray Wyatt right
Now,
now. Wyndham Rotunda.
if a guy, you know what the best way to explain it, Virtue? Let's take Big Vito, Skull Von Crush. I did not have a bodybuilder's body. I
Mhm.
had a big, in shape body. Now, I was very active. I'm athletic. I could move. My cardio was good. But did I have all the cuts that I needed to look good? In WCW, ECW? No. When I went to Impact, my body was better. When I went to XWF, my body was better. When I got to the WWE, my body was ripped
Yeah.
because if you wanted to work for that company, I understood you have to be ripped, you have to be jacked, you have to be able to wear trunks.
I mean,
Uh,
that's true, but I'm going to throw another name out there so we can give Bray Wyatt some slack. Kevin Owens.
yeah. Now, his thing was he wore a t-shirt, he has a big belly, he goes and does his thing. But again, he wasn't a bodybuilder. He's still staying the same way, Whether they gave him slack, I don't know. But a guy who used to have a decent body and just let himself go, which many people don't know, is Samoa Joe. Samoa
Yep.
Joe did have a decent body at one time. What happened after that, I don't know. But does everybody remember that Rikishi was not as big as he was?
Yeah.
Right? There are other wrestlers who weren't as heavy. They started out lean and then got heavier as the years went on. And then there are wrestlers like Jinder Mahal, who was not ripped or cut and developed his body into something fantastic.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode was the same way. His body wasn't any good until, man, I got to get to the WWE. How am I going to do this? And he switched his body. His partner was what was the partner's name? Harris.
Chris Harris. Oh, he let himself go. The Wildcat.
Right? There's a guy who had a decent body and impact. When he got to the WWE, he blew up for whatever reason, but he went from this to like, hey, what the fuck? And if he would have stayed in Impact, he probably would have been world champion, but he wanted to go to the WWE.
And they, we know the history of them liking their guys that look like
Cookie cutter.
Batista, Brock
Cookie cutter
Lesnar, Bobby
guys.
Lashley. So Bray Windham
Right.
put some other cryptic images out there. Like he's on some sets in Hollywood.
Right.
Remember, I've been calling this for a long time. We don't know, but all we know is there are, of course, the dirt sheets now are saying Bray Wyatt's getting offers or at least talking to several people in Hollywood of potential things he can do. And this is where it gets interesting. Vito, you were in a movie with Bill Moseley, a horror guy, a legend, and some others. I think Ron Howard's brother was in there too. I really think he has a future in horror industry, Hollywood. And it's not, back then it was more box office stuff. Now horror, you have stuff that's made for streaming, for Redbox. It's not as big budget, but dude, I'm telling you, we need something fresh in Hollywood. And I hope if he doesn't go back to wrestling immediately, I hope one of these directors, a Rob Zombie, whoever, can say, dude, I see something for you. Let's get these movies made. What do you think? You were in a movie called The Church.
Breaking into Hollywood is very tough. You got to have the right, you have to have the right connections, and you have to have the right thing. When I left the WWE in 2007, I went right down to Miami Beach, and I tried for several parts. It was tough to get in the business. Period. The end. And unless somebody takes you by the hand and brings you in, or you wait for your lucky break, just like you do in wrestling, it's a tough score. If Bray Wyatt could score it, hey, great. If he can't, he's got a job in wrestling. Now, you mentioned, where is he going?
Well, nowhere as of yet. And a lot of people thought by Halloween he would be signed. Or I guess let's give it another week because we got shows coming up this week. Maybe something will happen this week.
You know where I think he would be awesome? Doing The Fiend in Japan.
Might have to call it something different, though.
But even if you called it The Creature, Creepy Ghoul, this is my wife.
Yeah.
There goes my wife. I just, it could be called something. But I think with the mask and his character, even if we went back to the Wyatts, and what's his first name? His name is Harris, right?
Wyndham
Harris.
Wyndham Rotunda is his full name. He changed his Twitter handle to Wyndham6.
Yeah. So, we're going to go 6 deep. Now it comes.
And I think he does have some connections in Hollywood in terms of the guys that make the masks, the horror movie prop stuff. Tom Savini.
No, I think so. I think
Tom Savini does a lot of special effects. So he might have a little in, and we're going to have to see what happens. And I'm excited for this. I'm excited for him. And I always like seeing people go outside of wrestling when I think that they're talented enough to do something in another genre. And that's what I'm most excited about, because I would like to look back and say he didn't need wrestling right? He was more creative than just wrestling because he always has that if need be.
Right.
So we'll see. That's all I got this week, Vito. You got anything
That's all
else
we
you wanna
need.
add?
It's Halloween. I know you got to go trick or treating. I know you got to go, hand out some candy. I know you got to do some stuff. Is life going good for you?
Yeah,
Everything's
I turned
cool.
41 yesterday, and yeah, it's doing okay, man.
So, did your girl pay for dinner?
Yes,
Wonderful. Aces. Good job. Good job.
yeah. So it was a good time.
Didn't you go to somewhere that you wanted to go? You went to something new, right?
Yeah, we went to a restaurant, like a brewery, and then there
Brewery.
was a place, an arcade with pool tables and bowling lanes right next to it.
I could tell Leslie is a pool shark.
She didn't play pool though, so maybe she's still gonna
She,
hustle. Maybe she's gonna hustle me.
I think so. It was your birthday. Should let you off the hook. But if you go again, watch out.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Close the show, my man. Good
So be
job.
sure to follow Vito over on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. Check him out on Patreon, patreon.com/Big V Mafia. Follow me if you dare on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. But that is it. For Big Vito Lagrasso, I am Virtue, and this has been Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. Thank you for watching and listening, and we will see you next time.